Okay, I have to say, for as much as I don't like a lot of things about Engage New York, at the start of today's lesson, they actually finally got on board. Something we have been doing since the start of the year. It only took them till lesson 16 in module 4 to actually do, which is the importance of marking the text. So, what we're going to do in our opening exercise for today, you're going to underline the key statements in each of the keywords in each of these statements. You don't have to write the expressions yet. Literally, all we're doing, guys, is marking the text. So there's only 6 of them. It should take you about 30 seconds. Okay, let's see how well you guys did. Our first one, we should have had underlined. The some and twice circled are B in the 5. Second one, quotient. Yeah, but I told you mark the text. Yes, I did. Part C, A raised to the 5th power and then increased by the product of 5 and C. Now, why do you guys think I underlined the then and the increase? Why did I need both?
Because then means after the last then.
Which is telling me what? When I have to write this, mathematically, parentheses, thank you. Okay? Does everybody understand that? That then is really important because it's telling me I need parentheses. Because it's showing that I need to, mathematically to do it in a certain order. How do we force things in order of operations? Grouping symbols, parentheses, division bars, right? Okay? Everybody understand why we did that then? Good. Okay, the quantity of A plus B divided by 4. What does quantity tell us in this case? Sean?
It's the amount, it's the final answer of the addition and the division.
Okay, but why is quantity important? It is a fancy math word, but it's a very important fancy math word. Porter?
It's very confusing. I don't even know what it means.
No, it's actually a very specific, very intentional kind of thing that is telling you mathematically exactly what you need to do.
Wait, you do this and then you do that. Wait.
Which is?
You, the quantity is A plus whatever, the B, oh my God. I can't talk. A plus the other number, other letter, and then you divide it by 4.
Yes, because if I didn't have quantity in here, it would be A plus B divided by 4, which would be really confusing. Do I do A plus B and then divide it by 4, or do I do A plus B divided by 4? But when I put quantity in there, I now know exactly what I need to do. A plus B must flow together first, and then that is divided by 4. Does that make sense?
Quantity of A.
Yes.
Quantity A.
The quantity, because it's the quantity of A and B, it's telling me I have to do that addition first. Again, driving my order of operations. Okay?
It would make sense if that of wasn't there, because then it would just say quantity A.
Right.
That A is a number.
Correct. So if you really want to underline the of as well, feel free. But really the key part there is that quantity. Okay, 10 less than the product of 15 and C. Less than, key for 2 reasons, right? It's telling me what?
Flipping symbol.
Good, flipping and subtraction. Okay? 5 times D and then increased by 8.
So we do 5 times D, and then after that we do plus 8.
Make sense? So, how well did you guys do on marking your text? You guys had this pretty
I
well?
had the wrong symbol.
I didn't circle anything.
Or I
Underlined it like
underlined everything.
Yeah.
it didn't circle, it underlined.
I said mark the text, which marking our text, we circle numbers and units. Okay, so here's why we didn't have you guys do the expressions. Now's your chance to do the expressions with these. Okay, so since we already did it, the sum of twice B and 5, twice B, sum, and 5. Should go in that direction. Quotient, C and D. Quotient, division, C and D. You can do it either way. A raised to the 5th power, and then increased by the product of 5 and C. a to the 5th power, and then increased by the product of 5 and c. The quantity of a plus b divided by 4. Quantity of a plus b puts those two together. If you wanted to use the division symbol, then you must have the parentheses. Everybody good on that page?
No.
Whoa. Oh, that's right. I kept them all on the same page. 10 less than the product of 15 and c. 15c minus 10. Yes, it must be in that order. Okay, 5 times d and then increased by 8. 5d and increased by 8. Okay, just because I seem to keep having to do this, this is a multiplicative algebraic expression, so that 5 has a special name. What is its special name? Yeah?
Coefficient.
No.
35.
Coefficient.
No, it is not called a number. It is a number, but that is not what it's called. It is called a coefficient.
Get out of here.
Okay? So we'll keep going over this until you understand it. Okay, we'll do one more together. So when we say model, we're just talking about using the variables and numbers because an expression is a model. We're going to underline the text, show our keywords, and then we're going to write the expression. So we'll do the first one together. Marcus has $4 more than Yassine. If Y is the amount of money Yassine has, write an expression, there's our task, to show how much money Marcus has. So more dollars than tells me what?
Addition
And
flipping phrase.
flipping phrase. So Y is what Yassine has. Y, $4 more. Y plus 4.
Where are we?
I don't know.
We're on page 72.
Oh, these are
Does that make sense? Okay, we'll give you guys about 5 minutes. You're going to finish this page and the next page. So you're going to work all these together. You can work with your table. So we'll take a little more time on this because we got to talk about how we mark the text as well. But I'll be honest, guys, as we get into these word problems, this is where the marking the text becomes even more critically important for you because you've got to be able to pull this information out of everything that's written in here. So if you're marking your text properly, it should help you out immensely in writing these expressions. So Mario is missing half of his assignments. If A represents the number of assignments, write an expression, there's my task, to show how many assignments Mario is missing. So you guys need to do better in my first period, but if I say half, what's half of 10?
2.
5.
I was.
Okay, Caden. So then you have to think, what did I do? How did I get from 10 to 5? Divided by 2. So when I do half, what I'm saying is divided by 2. So it doesn't matter which way you write it. Again, when I'm doing division, I prefer fraction formation because it makes more sense to me. Camilla's weight has tripled since her first birthday. If W represents the amount she weighed on her first birthday, write an expression. There's my task. Show how much she weighs now. Tripled means what? Times 3. So I would write that as, Andrew, did you really?
Do what?
W3.
W3. Your coefficient always has 4.
I did W times 3.
W.
See, here's the problem, guys. If I did W3, how do I model that?
It would be.
How many groups of 3 am I going to make? What? So how many am I going to make?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? But wait, if I'm going to model 3W, what do I do? I can model that, right?
Yeah.
Can I model this?
No.
No. So can I write that? No, I don't know what that is.
W could be infinity.
So I can't do W3. I do 3W. That's why your coefficient always comes first, guys. Understood? So stop doing it. Also stop using double variables. That doesn't work anymore. Right, T? Zoila? Oh, I can expose literally every single one of them over here.
Come on, expose me.
Kaden? Isaiah?
Can you expose me?
I don't blame you for changing your name.
Every time.
I don't think about it. Okay, Nathan brings cupcakes. Give them to his 5 best friends who share them equally. If C represents the number of cupcakes he brings to school, write an expression, show how many cupcakes each of his friends gets. Should have been easy. He had good intentions. How much would they have gotten had he not gotten hungry and eaten them all? Okay, Ms. Buckets combines her atlases and dictionaries and then divides them among 10 different tables. A represents the number of atlases and D represents the number of dictionaries. Write an expression to show how many would be on each table. So what am I doing? First thing I have to do is put them together and then divide it by 10. Or I could use a parentheses. Don't ask me what that was supposed to be.
What if I did 10 divided by, what if I did 10,
Hey, Honor Dominion.
did that, but 10, it went 10 divided by 3.
No. Nope. So guys, I don't know if you guys heard Porter, he asked a really good question. He said, what if I did 10 and divided by A plus D? Wouldn't that also work? No, there is no commutative property of division. So that's saying if she had 10 dictionaries and 10 encyclopedias, atlases, then it would have been 20 divided by 10. Each table would have 2. But if I did it opposite, then it would be 10 over 20. Each one would have a half of a book.
Are we just pretending that A and B are equal to 20?
Okay, makes sense?
Are we pretending that A and B are both equal to 10?
I did for that quick example, yes. So to improve the basketball, this coach told me he needs to take 4 times as many free throws and 4 times as many jump shots every day. If F represents the number of free throws and J represents the number of jump shots, write an expression to show how many shots you'll need to take to improve in basketball. So this one becomes 4F plus 4J. Okay, quick side note. Because I noticed this as you guys are doing your interim assessment. One thing that we really didn't talk a whole lot about coming into that last assessment is something called the distributive property.
Yeah, the distributive property is easy. I prefer not to use it. I never liked
Okay, distributive property is actually quite easy. But distributive property works in 2 ways. I can either consolidate common factors between terms and pull them out, or I can take a term that is outside and distribute it to the inside. So what is the common term I have between 4F and 4J? 4. So I could rewrite this using distributive property as 4 times the quantity F plus J. So when it says use the distributive property, what it's saying is I take the 4 that's on the outside and I distribute it to each of the inside terms, and I get this. Make sense? So distributive property is take a common factor and distribute to individual terms. So this is actually one of the few spots you could either have an addition or subtraction inside of there. It doesn't matter. But it's one of the few times you're going to see a combination of multiplication and another operation. As you've noticed, most of the other properties we talk about deal with one specific property alone, or one specific operation. It's one of the few where you'll see different ones combined. So if you ever see that term again, distributive property, that's what it's talking about. Normally it is written more like this, although technically I could also write it as F plus J times 4 and put it on the back side, but most commonly we put that on the front side.
So that would work, because if you don't know what F plus J is, then it would be FJ times 4.
Yes.
So that wouldn't work.
You're absolutely correct for modeling, but this is one they throw at you in test questions as a stumper. So if you ever see it on that side, you know what to do. But you are correct. Mathematically, that's not the way it should be done. Okay, go to the next page. This one should be pretty easy, so we'll give you about 2 minutes to knock this one out as a table. Hold on. Apparently I missed something on the last page. Did I miss something?
No.
You're saying my page ended before yours.
Yeah, because there's an exercise. We have the first.
Oh, yours is, okay, yes. So you guys are starting on that page.
So it doesn't matter.
I just spliced it together so well I couldn't tell there was 2 pages here.
Do we have to mark it too?
Yes, mark your text. You should be doing that all the time, Devin.
I never do that.
I know. Okay, again, hopefully you guys are marking your text on these. If you are, it makes it a lot easier. B, decreased by C squared. Decreased is telling me subtract. Do I have any flipping phrases?
No.
Nope. So it's just straight up. B, C squared means what?
C to the second power.
To the second power. 24 divided by the product of 2 and A. So 24 divided by the product of 2 and A. Do I have an X in there? No, I do not. Do I have to have parentheses on this?
Yes. Wait,
Yeah,
yes,
if you do it like that.
Yeah, you do. You have to have parentheses. You have.
I don't know. Yeah.
Can I just write it like this?
No, you cannot.
No, you can't.
No, because then you have to divide first and then multiply by A.
Correct. Okay. I would have to have the parentheses on that. I would get a completely different answer otherwise. Because Gemma says division and multiplication go left to right. Okay, 150, guys. Quiet. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Okay, 150 decreased by the quantity of 6 plus B. So, Devin, hopefully this is where you're starting to see the importance of this quantity piece. It's telling me I have to put together grouping symbols, right? So 150 decreased by the quantity of 6 plus B. Okay, the sum of twice C and D. Now this one's actually really interesting because if you don't read this properly, you're going to end up with something totally different. Because it says sum tells me I'm doing what?
Adding.
Adding. So I need to have 2 different pieces, right? So it's going to say twice C is my first piece and 10 is my second piece. Could I go C2 plus 10?
No.
No. Could I go 2XC plus 10?
No.
No. David, sit in your chair properly. Milo had $35, but then spent M dollars. Spent means what?
Minus.
Minus. So I'm going to take my 35 and subtract M. Samantha saved her money and was able to quadruple, we hadn't really talked about that, the original amount M. Quadruple means what? 4. 4 times. Veronica increased her grade G by 4 points and then doubled it. So here's where that then becomes really important again. That's telling me what? Telling me what, Journey? Parentheses, good, it's a grouping symbol. So I increased her grade G plus 4 and then I doubled it. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. The way it reads, I would put the 2 here, but as we've discussed, to really do it properly, that should go ahead and be put in front. I'd accept it behind Miss McShann. You okay with that? So I would take it on either side, but again, if I were to model it, could I do G plus 4 mountain groups of 2?
But it has to have the parentheses.
But it has to have the parentheses, yes. So Advil had M pieces of candy and ate 5 of them. Then he split the remaining candy equally among 4 friends. So that's telling me I took 5 away, and then I split it between the 4. If you use the division symbol, have to have the parentheses around the M minus 5. Find out how much paint is needed. Mr. Jones must square the side length S of the gate and then subtract 15. S squared, and then I subtract 15. Luis brought X cans of cola. Faith brought D cans, and Deshaun brought H. How many cans? X plus D plus H. Pretty straightforward, right? Any questions on any of these? Okay. Go ahead and turn to the next page. This is your first homework page. I actually like this one because it says in the directions, mark the text. So if you don't mark your text on this one, have you done everything you were supposed to? Devin? If you don't mark your text, have you done everything you were supposed to?
Yes, I have actually marked my text on this one.
That's not what I asked.
No. If you don't mark your text, do you always do everything you're supposed to do? No.
I personally do.
So you personally always mark the text?
Oh, wait.
That's hard.
Oh, I understand what you're trying to say. So I guess no, I don't. If I don't mark the text, I don't do everything I'm doing.
Thank you.
There we go. Light bulb.
Okay? Now, this kind is actually in the directions. So if you don't do it now, you haven't done your homework. Okay, go ahead and turn to the next page. We'll do this after lunch. Okay, good job, guys. You were working really well on that. So let's take a look at it. Excuse me. Starting on station 1. The sum of A and B. Sum tells me what? Add. A plus B. Pretty easy. 5 more than twice a number C. So we got a couple big pieces in there. More than tells me 2 things. Add and flip. Everybody got that, right? Twice means what? Multiply by 2. So 2C more than is adding plus 5. If you're still doing this, that is going to be wrong, guys. That is not acceptable. We cannot use that X anymore. Now that we're going so much into variables, you have got to get rid of that habit. Martha bought D number of apples and then ate 6 of them, meaning they're being subtracted. 14 decreased by P, just straight up. 14 decreased by P. Total of D and F divided by 8. That comma is actually really important.
D plus F in parentheses divided by 8.
Or a division bar. So yes, you can do that one either way. But if you use the division symbol, you must have those parentheses. Okay, Rashad scored 6, less than 3 times as many baskets as Mike, which was B.
So 3 times B minus 6.
Yep, again, a flipping phrase. The minus 6 has to come after.
So if it has, or if it has something that should be underlined, and then says then, it's flipping phrase, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Okay, quotient of C and 6. Quotient, division, C and 6. Yes.
On number 2 and station 2,
Uh-huh.
do we have to put both ways?
No, just one of them. I'm just putting both because I know people will write them both ways. I mean, personally, I would always write it this way, but that's my personal preference. Some of you prefer using the division symbol. That's fine as long as you have parentheses there. One thing I like about the division bar is it takes away the need of parentheses. Plus, to me, it lays it out more logically as I'm writing it. But again, that's totally personal preference. Easy for me to say. Okay, triple the sum of x and 17. So x and 17, triple the whole sum means I need to multiply by 3.
So you put the 3 on the other side, is it okay?
That'd be acceptable, yeah. Okay. Gabrielle had B buttons, but then lost 6. Gabrielle took the remaining buttons and split them equally among her 5 friends. So she had B, lost 6, and split them among 5. Or B minus 6 divided by 5. Any questions on that page?
Nope.
Okay, go to the next one. D doubled. Sure to be easy.
Yeah.
2D. Can I do D2?
Yeah, or you could model it.
Shouldn't do it. Okay. 3 more than 4 times a number x. So 4x, 3 more than, is adding. Mallie has C pieces of candy. She doubles the amount of candy she has and then gives away, is that 10? 15 pieces.
So it'd be 2C
Okay.
minus 15.
Do I need parentheses?
No.
Why not?
Because it's saying she doubles the amount of candy and then gives away 15.
Right, so shouldn't I put parentheses?
Doubles the candy first. and
Right,
then
so
gives
shouldn't I have parentheses to make you do that first?
No,
Why not?
because you multiply first.
Because order of operations, I'm going to multiply anyway.
Yeah.
If it was adding or anything else, then I probably should. But because it's multiplying, I have to do that first anyway. F cubed. Cubed means to the third power. Okay? Quantity. 4 increased by A, and then sum is divided by 9. So they gave us like 3 different ways to tell us I've got an order of operations. 4 increased by A and divided by 9. If you wanted to do it with the division symbol, again, parentheses are required to use the division symbol. Ty earned 4 points fewer than double Odin's points. Odin earned P. So we had to double Odin's points, 4 points fewer than that. Difference between D and 8. Difference, subtraction.
D minus 8.
Yep. 6 less than the sum of D and 9. So D and 9.
Minus 6.
Do I have to have parentheses?
No, but you still probably should.
Okay? I would actually agree with you. No, I don't have to order operations because of the way it's written with the minus 6 at the end. I don't have to have it, but I kind of like the parentheses to show that I am acknowledging that that is a sum of D and 9. Adeline has X pants and S shirts. She combined them and sold half. How many items did Adeline sell? So combining them, X plus 2, half means I'm dividing by 2. Any questions on any of those? Okay, so that was a lot of practice on what you guys will be doing on the quiz next class. So just be ready for that. Yeah, we just determined that.
Next class.
Next class, Friday. There's a quiz on Friday. So hopefully any of my A1 students that are listening to this video pick that up, because we didn't tell A1 there was a quiz on, or A2. So anybody from A1, A2, here's your benefit to listening to the video. You now know there's a quiz Friday. Okay, write an expression using letters and or numbers for each problem. Pretty straightforward, guys. All you gotta do is write them out. Any questions?
My thing is conveniently and mysteriously done.
I don't doubt.